Hello, and welcome back to John de Silva Photography, where everything we talk about is photography. I am currently today, right here, right now, in Croatia, in a national park called Krka, K-R-K-A. It is a beautiful park with lakes and tons of waterfalls, as you can see behind me. Today's video is not about Croatia, it is about other places in the world. This one will be in Chile. But today, I am here in Krka. It is a hot day. It is sunny. It is brutally sunny. I'm a Florida boy, but I'm still wilting in the heat. So I've got my sweat towel full of cold water. I've been drinking a lot of water. This travel photography it can be tough. It can be rough on you. So much for the glamorous part of travel photography. But onto the pictures. I'm going to go through some images that I made, talk about them. Hopefully that'll help you with some tips and help you with your photography. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I will be back with you to close things up after we cover the images. See you then.
Visiting Easter Island, which is a special territory of Chile, for most people is a once-in-a-lifetime trip. Of course, most people visit Easter Island to experience the Moai. In case you didn't know what the Moai are, they are stone carvings, monolithic statues that are representations of the people who once lived there and still live there today. But I'm not here to talk about the history and stories behind the Moai. I'm here to talk about the images that I made on my visit to Easter Island in 2024. I spent 5 nights on the island, and while experiencing the Moai is the main reason that most people visit Easter Island, there are other interests on this tiny island, also known as Rapa Nui by the indigenous people, or Isla de Pascua by the Spanish. Seeing as how Easter Island is one of the most remote places on the planet, you want to plan your visit well and plan your photography carefully. You want to deeply explore the island. And as I've said in multiple videos, you want to look at everything in different ways, using the high-low, near-far approach, moving around, using different angles, and seeing things in as many ways as you possibly can with the time you have. So let's look at this first picture. It was made at a site where there are many Moai displayed in the ground, similar to what you're seeing here. I made photographs of many individual Moai, but I found the ones that had a central figure and then a secondary or supportive element in the composition to be most interesting. That secondary element could have been, as it is in this picture, another Moai. It could be part of the landscape, an animal, or a number of things, as you will see as we go deeper into these images. You will note there is only one image that just has one Moai in it. As you look at the second image, it is another main Moai up close, but this time a profile view, and again, another Moai in the background. Now this helps to show scale and the environment that they are found in. The third image is a grouping of 3 Moai, one very close, the second one almost right behind it and off to the side, and then one further in the background looking out of the frame. To me, the Moai looking into the camera lens is the present Moai. And the Moai in the distance is looking out of the frame, looking into the future. Note that all of these are Moai, but none of them are photographed or presented in the exact same way as another one in the collection. If you look at the fourth image, there's a whole collection of Moai. I included some people in the middle ground to show how large some of these statues actually are. There's a dozen or more Moai in this image, but which one would you say is the main subject? You could say that the one in the lower left corner is the main Moai. Now we read, as do many other cultures, from left to right. And in 2 dimensions, we also see or view that way, left to right. You may also think the one more to the middle is the main Moai, as our eyes frequently go to the center of an image. But basically, there's two ways people look at this image. Unless there's an obvious element pulling our eye to somewhere else in the composition, we may start our visual journey across an image on the left side. Now this image is mostly grass. It has no high contrast area to catch your attention, no lines, no patterns for your eye to follow. Your eyes may do a very quick scan of the overall composition, but then look for a starting place to begin looking deeper into the image. So you might look at this image starting from the left with the moai that feels closest to you. Visually, our eye and brain connection working together, look for specific things, areas of high contrast, lines, whether they're real or implied, repeating patterns, a human form, and many more. Photographers know this and incorporate that into their imagery when they can. The purpose of this image is to show an environmental portrait. It's to show where these moai are found. For me, there was no intention on my part to highlight any particular one. When I made this photograph, the thought in my head was I wanted to show this scene of many moai, the path cutting through it, and the people near the moai. It's like an image of a wedding reception, depicting all of the people dancing, drinking, talking, conveying joy, celebration, and community. There is no singular subject other than the singular overall group. The next image is at a totally different location. It's a 7 moai lineup showing different moai, their similarities and their differences. It's simple, clean, and relatively easy image to look at. And the following image is interesting because it is one of a kind, the only prone moai, the only one unfinished. It is found at the area that's called the quarry and is where the artisans from hundreds of years ago actually fashioned the statue. I thought this is an image that was very interesting and told more of the moai story. The following image is a massive environmental portrait. The moai were not put into these positions by their creators or ancestors that lived on the island hundreds of years ago. They were placed here in contemporary times, in the 1950s, by archaeologists and people who came to work on, study, and preserve them. But it's really a fantastic display of the moai, and I feel this photograph from far away even told more of their story. This next image is of the moai that you saw in the previous image, just closer and at a lower angle. I laid in the grass using the high-low near-far approach, wanting to make them look even more larger than life than they already are. I am at an angle, and luckily I had a sky that was not flat and cloudless. So again, I am looking for different ways to present basically the same subject matter. The image has this same moai lineup from the previous image, but with a statue that was closer to me as I approached the moai group in the morning. I thought this composition is the best of both worlds. As you have one up close, you can see its features and details and still capture the moai in the background. Now, a tour that you shouldn't miss is a sunrise tour. I had to get up early in the morning, catch a ride with our guide, and then make the long drive out where the moai are. Now, it's Easter Island, not a very huge island, but still, it's early in the morning, super foggy, you're tired, it's dark, and quiet too, well, except for the ever-present barking dogs. Rising early comes with being a travel photographer. You make sure you have all your gear, a tripod especially, to get these sunrise images because your light is limited and you want to catch the color in the sky. And you're setting your camera to a slow shutter speed and your aperture is very small, the f/22, f/32, however small you can get it. So I set it that small so I could get these rays, this sunburst pattern coming in between the two moai in the middle from the sun. Now the next one was made really early, even before the sun was up, and the sky was full of color. So you can see these images are not about the moai in their detail. It's about the outline of the moai in the darkness, their silhouette. And the main story and all of the fun is in that sky. Just like the previous image, however, that sky wasn't as striking as this one, but that starburst effect is what caught your eye. Do you remember earlier when I was talking about the picture with all the moai in it and the green grass? The picture was like 90% green grass with the moai dotting the landscape. Nothing really caught your eye immediately, like the sunburst did in the previous image, or this purple sky. Here you've got something that you can guarantee most everybody's eye goes to immediately when they look at this and the previous picture. So you get rewarded for planning ahead, making sure you have the right gear, getting up early, checking the weather forecast, making the drive out there in the fog, setting up, and then waiting and waiting, being patient, making sure you get yourself in the right spot, making sure you know where the sun is coming up, and hoping for clouds, because clouds are very necessary to get color and light diffraction. You get that light bouncing off the sky. Now the next image is the sunrise image that I was talking about earlier, where I didn't need a guide. I just rode a rental bike with my gear in my backpack to the moai and did my setup and patiently waited for the sun to do its thing. And this is what I got. Another image with the sun over the shoulder of this singular moai. I set my aperture really small as I can to get the achieved result of that sunburst effect. And of course, you have very little light coming through your aperture. So to compensate, your shutter has to be open for a longer amount of time to get enough light to your sensor to achieve a good exposure. And that's why you need a tripod, or else you're going to have very blurry images if you're trying to handhold your camera. Now this next image is black and white. When I made this image, I felt it was going to be better as a black and white because how the sky looked. The clouds were really looking dramatic too. And there are two things that you're going to look at here. What do you think they are? The moai and its foreground in all silhouette, it's all black, and you're not going to look at the foreground because it's just a black inky morass. But you might look at the moai first because they are set against the brighter background clouds. Or your eye might look at the big white area where the sun has really lit up the clouds. And then your eye will scan all around the image, looking at the different shades of gray and all of the cloud patterns. Also, I haven't seen any images like this online or when I was on Easter Island, as I visited a couple of art galleries and looked at the work that locals have done. It's hard to recreate the work of a local because they're there all of the time under all kinds of conditions. Rain, clouds, clear blue sky. I mean, they could shoot 365 days of sunrises and sunsets and everything in between. And you're only there, if you're lucky, for a few days to a week, and you just do what you can with the time given. But like I said, I haven't seen an image like this on the island or online. And that's something I'm always going for. I enjoy presenting something that is familiar to many people, but presenting it to them in a different way, maybe that they're not used to seeing. Now, this last picture of the moai is a fun picture. I was leaving with the guide after sunrise, and those are the 15 moai in the background. We were leaving, and these cows were out there just grazing, doing what cows do, and I had the guide stop the car. I had to get out and see what, if anything, I could do with these cows. And man, this one cow just so worked with me. I mean, if I could offer this cow a modeling fee, I would have paid this cow a modeling fee for this photograph. It was curious, came up to me, obviously with no fear of a human. It was looking right at the camera with the moai in the background. It had this matter-of-fact expression like, yeah, I'm here, so what? I found it hilarious and unexpected. People don't connect moai and cows. I haven't seen any picture of moais with cows in them either, so I thought it was quite unique in that regard. So that's my collection of what I consider my strongest Moai images. Each one of them is different. Each one of them is unique. Now, you don't want to shoot 15 images of Moai, or any subject for that matter, and to have 15 images that all look the same. It will be boring and pointless. I like to be different, and I like to do different. And hopefully you do too. So don't do boring. So moving on, as I said, this video is about Moai and more. So here comes the more. Now we're in a very tropical place, remote place. It's a 5 to 6 hour flight from Santiago, Chile, or Tahiti, out in the middle of the Pacific and nothing else around it. And I thought Antarctica was and felt remote, but the flight from Punta Arenas to Antarctica, if you take it, is only 2.5 hours. This place is twice as far by plane to the closest major landmass. But it is tropical and it has flowers galore. So I turned my attention to some of the beautiful flowers that are found on Easter Island. And this first one with a red-orange combination. And let me preface this flower collection by saying you have to be a pretty terrible photographer if you can't make, I won't even say a decent photograph, but a good photograph of a flower. They are so beautiful, so naturally interesting to humans with their different shapes, different flower, different colors, different foliage around them, the leaves, the stems. And sometimes you get lucky and you'll even have a bee or some other insect on it. It's just really hard to not make a nice photograph of a flower. And these are just beautiful flowers, the red and yellow ones. Then you've got these little purple, like pom-pom, sunburst, supernova type looking flowers. And this one, speaking of bees and insects, this one has a little visitor on it, the one in the upper left corner. Now my next flower photograph, again, the hotness of the pink with the red and orange in the middle playing against the cool green leaves in the background that are out of focus. This is another thing that you want with flowers. If you're photographing a flower, you want to use a low enough f-stop. Have that aperture pretty wide open, f2.8, f4, something very low. So whatever you're focusing on, it is tack sharp, while everything else in the image falls out of focus. So all of the attention is on that flower. Now the orange one here, the background is so dark that it's not even seen, so that the orange and red, just these hot colors just pop out. And these beautiful, delicate looking yellow and white flowers, 3 flowers. Now, 3 of anything in an image is always complementary. There's a connection. Again, our images should relate, connect with people. And what people like, and studies have been done that determine people like relationships of 3 in images. And so I look for this when I make photographs in certain situations. And here I saw these 3 flowers and thought, this is an interesting trio. So the yellow and white flowers, again, with the dark background, really isolates them. And the same can be said for the next image of this beautiful white flower, pure as the driven snow white, petals just bursting out, numerous petals with a really deep blue, dark purple center, and then a little bit around that center, a lighter color purple that disappears into the white of the petals. And then again, green leaves all around. It isolates that flower. Now, I did not place it perfectly in my composition in the center. It's not right in the center of the picture. It's off to the side. I felt it looked better that way. So you have to pay attention to your compositions. If you look at these pictures, some are more in the center, the subjects, and it suits them, while others are off center, to the sides. It all depends on what you feel is happening, how you want to present them, the relationships in the composition, a number of things. Now my next image of a flower, some of these flowers you will see in this collection are shot face on, like from the top straight down on the flower, facing my camera lens. And others are shot at an angle like this one, shot at an angle and off to the side. The area of focus is pretty much just at the center. As you can see, the petals closer to the camera are soft. And the one in the middle into the back, that's the farthest away, is soft. And then the other two on either side of the center are pretty sharp. And of course, the background falls into very soft, dark green area where you see little detail in the leaves, but not much because they're not the story. The story is that beautiful pink petal with a slightly orange center seen from an angle. Now, flowers are not the only thing that caught my eye in Easter Island. They had some domesticated horses there, and this one took patience to photograph. It was on the other side of a stone wall, and I had to wait because, as you can see, there's brush and twigs there, and I had to move around, find a little opening, and wait for the horse to move, and then got this, waiting, being patient, and as luck would have it, whatever you want to call it, I got its attention, and it looked right at the camera. You can see the fence down below, creating a little border. The bushes and twigs give it some framing around its face, but you can still see its body well enough, and all the way into the distance as you lose focus. It gets softer. Now, this horse with all the green around it and its beautiful brown coat is obviously the subject, and what I want you to see first. Even that little white splotch between its eyes is almost like a "hey, look at me" bullseye on the horse. Of course, horses are not the only animals on Easter Island or around Easter Island. On the first day I was there, I went down to the sea and saw these sea turtles along the shore. There's a little area there near the shore that is kind of rocked off, but the water from the tide can flow over the rocks, and it formed this little lagoon, and the sea turtles get in there and swim around, and they're looking for food. So there were a couple of sea turtles there that you could just sit and watch. So I got some really nice images, being patient, waiting for them to surface, raise their head to get a little more detail of the sea turtle. And then this next image, I actually put on my waterproof case on my GoPro and stuck it under the water and just shot, aiming it at the sea turtles when I could get close enough, or when they got close enough to me, just sitting there and patiently waiting. I got this really nice image of the sea turtle looking for snacks to eat. The next image is another site that you will visit if and when you go to Easter Island. It is a volcanic crater, and it is really beautiful, and it's really big. And there is a story that goes along with this that our guide told us. It had to do with becoming the chief of the village, but I'll let the guide tell you that when you go and visit Easter Island. This next image is I thought it really captured the ruggedness and the beauty of much of the coastal area of Easter Island. There's lava rock, of course. I mean, it's Easter Island. It's here because of volcanic activity. But then, of course, over the eons, dirt is formed, and then plant life grew out of that dirt. And you've got that green grass over there, the green trees, along with the white foam. And if you can see a person over there on the other side, you can get a scale how big this area is. But in addition to the green and the white of the foam, there's this beautiful blue water. And then this last image. Yeah, there are people on Easter Island, and they do interesting things like surf. So I spent an hour or so of a day watching some surfers, and some of them were quite good at catching the 2 to 3 foot waves. So you need a fast shutter speed to catch him cutting into that wave and throwing up some water, while the other 2 surfers in the foreground are paddling out to try and catch their own wave. So those are my picks for a sampling of images that I made on Easter Island. If you are going to Easter Island, I hope these give you some ideas and let you think beyond the Moai. There are other things that I photographed but didn't share here that you can also photograph as well. But there's plenty to discover on Easter Island. And I hope this has been helpful to you, not just for Easter Island photography, but for your photography in general. So it wraps up this discussion of today's images.
That was today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Come back often. I've got new videos all the time. Check that out. Isn't it beautiful out there? It is beautiful. So come back for the next video. It will not be on Croatia. It'll be on another wonderful place. So stay tuned. Keep making great photographs, and I'll see you then.